Ambassador Jinwoo Park stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The crystal walls rose high above him, filled with alien faces from across the galaxy. For 30 years, he had walked through these halls as a friend. Today, everything would change. His hands shook as he held the datapad. The images on the screen made his stomach turn. Dead humans, burned cities, children taken from their families. The colony of New Busan was gone. 50,000 people dead. 200,000. Missing Dr. So-Young Kim sat in the witness chair next to him. She had seen the Vorthak Empire's secret labs with her own eyes. The aliens had been taking humans and other species. They cut them open. They changed their bodies. They made them into slaves who could not think for themselves. The evidence is clear, Dr. Kim said to the council. Her voice was steady, but Jinwoo could see tears in her eyes. The Vorthak Empire has been doing this for years. They take whole families. They experiment on children. This is not war. This is evil. The council members listened. Some looked shocked. Others looked bored. A few were checking their communication devices. Counselor Thexra of the Hegemony spoke first. His blue skin seemed to glow in the crystal light. These are serious charges, he said. But we must remember that the Vorthak Empire is a member of this council. We cannot act without proof. We have proof, Jinwoo said. He activated the hologram projector. Images filled the air above them, bodies in cages, humans with strange machines attached to their heads, alien scientists taking notes while people screamed. This is my daughter, Jinwoo said. The hologram showed a young woman in a military uniform, Lieutenant Hyejin Park. She was missing, probably dead, or worse. The council went quiet. Jinwoo had served them for decades. He had stopped wars. He had saved billions of lives through peace talks. They all knew his daughter. She had visited the council chambers as a child. Counselor Vexen of the Trade Federation cleared his throat. This is very sad, he said. But we must think about the bigger picture. If we attack the Vorthak Empire, it could start a war. Many more people would die. People are already dying, Dr. Kim said, right now while we sit here talking. But they are not our people, said Counselor Mordeth. The Galactic Council exists to keep peace between all species. We cannot show favor to humans. Jinwoo felt something break inside his chest. For 30 years he had believed in this place. He had believed that talking could solve any problem. He had convinced his own people to trust these aliens. He had told Earth that diplomacy was always better than war. What do you suggest we do? He asked. Counselor Thexra smiled. We will issue a formal statement. We will tell the Vorthak Empire that we are disappointed in their actions. We will ask them to stop. A statement? Jinwoo could not believe what he was hearing. You want to send them a letter? A very strongly worded letter, Counselor Vexen added. We will make it clear that the council does not approve. Dr. Kim stood up. They have been doing this for years, she said. They know you disapprove. They do not care about your letters. We could also reduce their trade privileges, suggested another council member. Take away some of their voting rights for 6 months. Jinwoo looked around the chamber. These beings ruled the galaxy. They commanded fleets of starships. They had weapons that could destroy planets. But when faced with real evil, they wanted to write a letter. My daughter is probably being tortured right now, he said. Children are being turned into monsters. And you want to take away their voting rights? Ambassador Park, Counselor Thexra said, you are upset. This is understandable, but we must think with our heads, not our hearts. War brings only more suffering. Sometimes war brings justice, Jinwoo said. The chamber went silent. Humans never talked about war. For 30 years they had been the peacemakers. When other species wanted to fight, humans would step in and find a solution. Human diplomats were famous across the galaxy for never giving up on peace. You do not mean that, Counselor Mordeth said. Humans are a peaceful species. This is why we trust you to help us solve our problems. Jinwoo reached up to his chest. He wore a medallion there. It was made of silver and blue crystal. The Peace Medallion of the Galactic Council. Only the greatest diplomats were allowed to wear it. Jinwoo had earned his by stopping a war between 3 different species. He had been so proud that day, he pulled the chain over his head. The medallion felt heavy in his hands. For 30 years, he said, humans have served this council. We have stopped your wars, we have saved your people. We have believed that peace is always possible. The council members watched him. They could see something changing in his eyes. But you have taught us something today, Jinwoo continued. You have shown us that some of you do not want peace. You want order. You want quiet. You want to keep things the same, even when keeping things the same means letting evil continue. He held the medallion high so everyone could see it. You are not peacekeepers, he said. You are peace pretenders. You talk about peace while good people suffer. You write letters while children die. Councillor Thexera stood up. Ambassador Park, please calm down. We can discuss other options. No, Jinwoo said. We are done discussing. He opened his fingers. The peace medallion fell to the crystal floor. The sound it made echoed through the great chamber. No one spoke. No one moved. Humanity withdraws from all peace treaties with this council, Jinwoo said. His voice was calm now. Cold. We will no longer serve as your mediators. We will no longer stop your wars. And we will no longer ask your permission to protect our people. He turned to leave, then stopped. The Vorthak Empire has our people, he said. We are going to get them back. You can write all the letters you want. As Jinwoo walked out of the chamber, the council members began talking all at once. Some were angry. Some were scared. All of them were confused. For 30 years, humans had been the one species they could count on to choose peace over war. That was about to change, and the galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped trying to be peaceful. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Jinwoo Park dropped the peace medallion. The galaxy was watching Earth with growing fear. Something was happening to the humans, and no one understood what it meant. Admiral Dong-hyun Lee stood on the bridge of the new command ship, watching construction reports scroll across his screen. Every human world was building something. Factories that used to make farming equipment now made weapons. Shipyards that built peaceful cargo vessels now produced warships. Medical centers were training combat doctors. Admiral, said his aide, Captain Jamin Ko, the Martian shipyards report completion of 50 new destroyers. The lunar factories have finished another 100 fighter squadrons. Dong-hyun nodded. Before the Council's betrayal, humans had 12 military ships in the entire galaxy. Now, they had thousands. The transformation was happening faster than anyone thought possible. The door to the bridge opened. Chief Engineer Bitna Choi walked in, carrying a datapad that glowed with new weapon designs. Admiral, we have finished testing the kinetic cannons, she said. They work exactly as we hoped. For decades, other species had laughed at human weapons. While aliens used energy shields and plasma beams, humans still liked guns that shot metal bullets. The aliens thought this was primitive and stupid. They were about to learn why they were wrong. The Vorthak shields can stop energy weapons, Bitna explained. But they never learned to stop fast-moving metal. Our new cannons can shoot tungsten rods at 30% of light speed. Their shields will not even slow them down. Dong-hyun smiled. It was not a nice smile. How many ships can we equip with these weapons? All of them, Bitna said. We have been working day and night. The Council thinks we are still the same peaceful humans they remember. They have no idea what we are building on Earth. General Young-Soo Kang was training the new human army. These were not the careful peacekeepers the galaxy knew. These were miners from the asteroid belts who knew how to fight in space. These were security guards from the outer colonies who had been fighting pirates for years. These were Marines who had been told they were too aggressive for peacekeeping duty. Listen up, General Kang told a group of new recruits. For 30 years we have been the galaxy's police. We stopped fights. We protected the weak. We tried to make everyone get along. The soldiers listened carefully. Most of them had friends or family who died at New Busan, But the Council has shown us something important, the General continued. They do not want peace. They want control. They will let evil people do evil things as long as those people do not disturb their power. A young corporal raised her hand. Sir, what about the other alien species? The ones who are not on the Council? Should we consider them enemies too? General Kang thought about this. That depends on them, he said. If they help us stop the Vorthak Empire, they are our friends. If they get in our way, they are our enemies. If they do nothing, they are cowards, but we will not waste time on cowards. Meanwhile, in the Intelligence Center, Director Miran Song was reading reports from human agents across the galaxy. For 30 years, humans had been guests in alien worlds. They had made friends, they had learned languages, they had studied alien cultures. The aliens thought this was because humans were curious and friendly. They were right, but they missed something important. Humans were also very good at remembering things. Ma'am, said intelligence analyst Tae-ho Park, we have completed the files on all council members. Miran looked at the data. Humans had been watching and listening for 3 decades. They knew which council members took bribes. They knew which ones had secret weapons. They knew which ones hated each other. Councillor Thexra has been selling weapons to both sides of the war on Kelmar, Tae-ho reported. Councillor Vexen owns slave factories on 4 different worlds. Councillor Mordeth has been stealing medical supplies meant for refugee camps. Perfect, Miran said. Make copies of everything. If the Council wants to play politics, we will show them how humans play politics. That afternoon, a Council delegation arrived at Earth. They came in a huge ship with golden decorations expecting the usual human politeness. Instead, they were met by a small shuttle with no decorations at all. Councillor Zeftai of the Hegemony had volunteered to talk to the humans. He was known for being good at making deals. He had convinced many species to stop fighting and join the Council. I am here to restore peace between our peoples, he told Director Miran when they met in a plain gray room. Are you? Miran asked. She slid a datapad across the table to him. Zeftai looked at the screen. His face turned pale. The datapad showed pictures of his private accounts, bank records, communication logs, evidence of 20 years of illegal weapons dealing. Where did you get this? He whispered. We have been good guests, Miran said. We watched, we listened, we learned. Did you think we were stupid? She slid another datapad across the table. This one had information about every council member. Your people have been very busy, she said. Wars that you started for profit. Medical supplies that you stole. Slaves that you pretend do not exist. Zeftai's hands were shaking. What do you want? Nothing from you, Miran said. You have 48 hours to leave our space. After that, any alien ship in human territory will be considered hostile. You cannot do this, Zeftai said. We are the Galactic Council. We have rules. We have procedures. Miran stood up. Your rules did not save the people of New Busan. Your procedures did not stop the Vorthak Empire. We are done following your rules. She walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Counselor, if you try to use this information against us, we will release everything we know about the Council to every news service in the galaxy. I do not think your people would be happy to learn how you really make your decisions. As the Council ship left Earth, Zeftai sent an emergency message to the other Council members. The humans are not the same, he reported. They have been watching us, they know everything, and they are not afraid anymore. Back on Earth, Admiral Dong-hyun received reports from across human space. The military buildup was complete. Weapons that the galaxy had never seen were ready for use. Soldiers who had been training their whole lives for this moment were boarding ships. Admiral, Captain Ko said, we have located the Vorthak stronghold at Kethmore. Our intelligence says that is where they are keeping the prisoners from New Busan. Dong-hyun looked at the star map. Kethmore was deep in Vorthak space, surrounded by military bases and defense platforms. The Council would call it impossible to attack. How long to get there? He asked. 3 days at maximum speed, Captain Ko replied. Then we leave in 1 hour. Dong-hyun said. Send a message to all fleet commanders. Tell them it is time to show the galaxy what humans do when we stop being peaceful. As the human fleet prepared to leave, people across Earth watched the news. Many were scared. They had been peaceful for so long that war felt strange and frightening. But others remembered New Busan. They remembered the children who were taken. They remembered that the Council had chosen to do nothing. For 30 years, humans had chosen peace because they believed it was better than war. Now they were about to show the galaxy what they had been protecting everyone from: themselves. The human fleet arrived at the edge of Vorthak space like a storm. Captain Jae Sung-oh stood on the bridge of the battleship Seoul's Fury, watching enemy contacts appear on his scanner. The Vorthak had been expecting this attack for months, but they were not ready for what the humans brought with them. 87 enemy ships, reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant In Hai-yoon. 12 orbital defense platforms. Their shields are up and weapons are powered. Captain O nodded. The Vorthak Empire controlled 12 star systems and had been fighting wars for centuries. They were not afraid of anyone. But they had never fought humans before. Are our people in position? He asked. Yes, sir, replied Communications Officer Sungmin Lee. All teams report ready. 3 months ago, Systems Specialist Bo Young-han had done something impossible. She had broken into the Vorthak communication network. Not just one ship or one base, but their entire military system. The Vorthak thought their codes were unbreakable, but they had never met a human computer expert. Bo Young, you are clear. To begin, Captain O said into his communicator. On Earth, Bo Young sat in a secret bunker surrounded by dozens of computer screens. Her fingers moved across the keyboards like a musician playing a song. For weeks, she had been hiding small programs inside the Vorthak network. Now it was time to activate them. Uploading virus package 1, she reported. Package 2, package 3. Above the planet Kethmore, the Vorthak orbital defense platforms suddenly stopped following orders. Their guns turned away from the approaching human fleet. Instead, they began targeting Vorthak ships. What is happening? Admiral Krexmore of the Vorthak fleet screamed into his communicator. Why are our own weapons firing at us? His answer came from Captain O, broadcasting on all frequencies. You took our people, the human said. You hurt our children. You thought we would send letters like the Council. You were wrong. The first phase of the battle lasted only minutes. Half the Vorthak fleet was destroyed by their own defense platforms before they could react. The survivors tried to flee, but they found that their engines would not respond to commands. Bo Young's virus had taken control of everything. All ships, begin boarding operations, Captain O ordered. This was where the galaxy learned something terrifying about humans. For 30 years, they had watched human peacekeepers break up fights and negotiate treaties. They thought humans were naturally peaceful. They were wrong. Humans had simply chosen to be peaceful. When they chose to be warriors instead, they were very good at it. Lieutenant Commander Sung-ho Kim led the first boarding party onto a Vorthak cruiser. His team moved through the ship like ghosts. They knew exactly where to go and what to do because humans had been studying alien ship designs for decades. The Vorthak soldiers were brave and fierce, but they were not prepared for human tactics. While aliens fought with honor and followed rules, humans fought to win. They used smoke grenades to hide their movements. They cut power to sections of the ship to create confusion. They attacked from directions that aliens never expected. Deck 7 secure, Sung-ho reported, moving to the detention levels. The Vorthak had been so confident in their defenses that they kept their most important prisoners on their command ships. They thought no one could reach them there. They learned otherwise when Sung-ho's team cut through their blast doors with human cutting tools. In the prisoner sections, the humans found horrors that made them angry beyond words. Aliens from dozens of species were locked in tiny cages. Many had been changed by Vorthak science. Some no longer looked like their original species. Medical team to detention level 7, Sung-ho called. We need doctors down here now. Rescue coordinator Yoon-ji Lee was one of the first medical officers to reach the prisoners. She had prepared herself for terrible things, but the reality was worse than she had imagined. children with alien technology grafted onto their bodies, adults who had been turned into living computers, families that had been separated and experimented on. In cell number 47, she found Lieutenant Hyejin Park. Ambassador Jin Woo's daughter was alive, but she was not the same person who had been captured at New Busan. The Vorthak had tried to break her mind with torture and drugs. They had partially succeeded. She could barely speak and did not recognize her own name. "Hyejin," Yoonji said softly, "you are safe now. We are taking you home." The young woman looked up with empty eyes. "Home is gone," she whispered. "They showed me the pictures. They made me watch." Yoonji's hands were shaking as she helped Hyejin out of the cell. The Vorthak had not just captured humans for experiments. They had tortured them psychologically, showing them the destruction of their homes over and over again until they gave up hope. Meanwhile, the space battle was ending. The Vorthak fleet at Kethmore had been completely destroyed or captured. Not a single human ship had been lost. Admiral Dong Hyun received reports from across the battlefield. "Sir," Captain Ko reported, "we have rescued over 60,000 prisoners, humans, Kalurians, Thessians, and members of 12 other species. The Vorthak had been doing this for much longer than we thought." Dong Hyun nodded grimly. The council had known about this. Some of them had probably been getting paid to look the other way. "What about their main base on the planet?" he asked. "Ground forces are moving in now," Ko replied. "General Kang estimates they will have the base secured within 6 hours." On the planet's surface, General Young-Soo Kang led the assault on the Vorthak command center. His soldiers moved with precision and purpose. They had trained for this moment for months, and they were not going to waste it. The Vorthak fought, desperately, but they were facing an enemy they did not understand. Human soldiers did not fight like other species. They did not seek glorious battles or personal honor. They fought as a team, with each soldier supporting the others. When the Vorthak tried to hide behind their fortifications, humans used explosives to bring down entire buildings. When the Vorthak tried to escape through tunnels, humans were already waiting for them. When the Vorthak tried to surrender, humans accepted the surrender but took no chances. "Base commander is secure," General Kang reported. "We have their computers and all their records. The intelligence teams are going to be very busy." As the battle ended, news of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. The Vorthak Empire, which had seemed unstoppable, had lost their main stronghold in less than 1 day. But the most important news was not about the military victory. It was about what the humans had found in the Vorthak research facilities. Dr. So Young Kim studied the alien computer files with growing horror. The Vorthak had not just been experimenting on their prisoners. They had been working on a project to create perfect slave species. They wanted to change the biology of entire races to make them more obedient. They were planning to use this on Earth, she told Admiral Dong Hyun. The files show that humans were their primary target. They wanted to change us into a species that could not resist authority. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. "And the Council knew about this?" "Some of them had to know," Dr. Kim replied. "The project required resources from multiple star systems. The Council's trade records show unusual shipments to Vorthak research facilities." Dong Hyun turned to look out at the stars. The galaxy had just learned that humans could fight when they needed to. But they had not yet learned the most important lesson. When humans discovered that someone was trying to destroy their freedom, they did not just fight back. They made sure it could never happen again. The war was just beginning. News of the human victory at Kethmore reached the Galactic Council chambers within hours. Chancellor Mordeth stood before the emergency assembly, his voice shaking with anger and fear. "The humans have destroyed an entire Vorthak fleet," he announced. "They captured a fortified star system in 18 hours. This aggression cannot be allowed to continue." The council chamber erupted in argument. Some members were frightened. Others were secretly pleased that someone had finally stopped the Vorthak Empire. Most were simply confused about what to do next. "We must declare war on humanity," said Councillor Thexera. "If we do not stop them now, they will attack other council members." "With what army?" asked Counselor Vexon. Half our fleets are dealing with rebellions in their own systems. The humans chose their timing well. This was true. Across the galaxy, species that had been oppressed by the Council were rising up. The human victory had shown them that the Council was not as powerful as it pretended to be. On the Kalurian homeworld, President Dalka Helon addressed her people. For 20 years, the Galactic Council ignored our pleas for help against the raiders attacking our colonies. But humans came to our aid. They asked for nothing in return except friendship. The Kalurian Assembly voted unanimously to open their space-to-human fleets. Other species were making similar decisions. The Thessian Trade Union offered their ships to carry human supplies. The Altori Republic shared their intelligence networks. Admiral Su Jin Yoon commanded the human diplomatic fleet. But unlike the old human diplomats, she carried weapons as well as words. "Admiral," reported her intelligence officer, Captain Minseo Park, "we are receiving surrender offers from 6 different Vorthak systems. They want to negotiate. Tell them we will accept nothing less than complete surrender," Admiral Yoon replied, "and the release of all prisoners, and full access to their research facilities." What if they refuse? Admiral Yoon looked at the tactical display showing the positions of human fleets across the galaxy. "Then we will take what we want by force." This was the new human way. For 30 years they had asked politely for what they needed. Now they simply took it, and other species could choose to cooperate or get out of the way. Intelligence Analyst. Taeho Park had spent months studying the captured Vorthak files. What he found changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about the Council. "Admiral," he reported to Dong Hyun Lee, "the Council has not been keeping peace. They have been managing conflicts for profit. Look at this." The files showed records, going back decades. The Council would secretly supply weapons to both sides of a war, then offer to mediate when the fighting got too expensive. They would broker peace deals that left them in control of valuable resources. "The war between the Zelnar and the Corvani," Taeho explained. "The Council sold weapons to both sides for 6 years. When the Zelnar were about to win, the Council convinced the Corvani to accept a peace treaty that gave the Council mining rights to 3 star systems." Dong Hyun studied the data with growing anger. "How many wars?" 47 in the last 50 years, Taeho said. "The Council has been treating the galaxy like a business. They make money from conflict and then profit again from peace. And humanity? We were their enforcers without knowing it," Taeho said. "When they negotiated these crooked deals, they sent human peacekeepers to make sure the agreements were followed. We thought we were keeping peace. Really, we were protecting their profits." That night, Admiral Dong Hyun called a meeting of all human fleet commanders. The holographic conference included ships scattered across 12 star systems. "We have a choice to make," he told them. "We can destroy the Vorthak Empire and go home, or we can finish what we started and fix the entire galaxy." Fleet Commander Insu Choi spoke from his position near the Thessian border. "Sir, if we go home now, the Council will just find new ways to make money from war. They will probably create an even worse enemy to replace the Vorthak." "That is what I think too," Dong Hyun agreed. "But this means we are not just fighting the Vorthak anymore. We are fighting the entire system that allowed them to exist." Captain Jae Sung Oh raised his hand. "Admiral, we already have allies among the other species. Many of them want the Council gone as much as we do." This was true. As word spread about the Council's secret deals, more species were joining the human coalition. They brought their own ships and soldiers, but they also brought something more valuable: information. The Kalurians had records of Council weapons shipments. The Thessians had financial data showing how Council members profited from wars. The Altori had intercepted communications proving that the Council had been planning to let the Vorthak Empire expand as long as they shared their profits. "We have enough evidence to destroy the Council's reputation," reported Director Miran Song from Earth. "But evidence is not enough. We need to be strong enough to enforce a new system." Admiral Su Jin Yoon had been thinking about this problem for weeks. "What if we do not try to control the galaxy ourselves?" she suggested. What if we create a system where no one can control it? Her idea was simple, but revolutionary. Instead of one central government, the galaxy would have many smaller alliances. Each species would choose its own government and its own allies. But there would be rules that everyone had to follow, and those rules would be enforced by a coalition of species working together. No more council that can be bribed or corrupted, Admiral Yoon explained. No more single group that controls trade or military power. If someone breaks the rules, everyone else works together to stop them. General Young-Soo Kang liked this idea. It would require a strong military to enforce the rules, he said. But that military would answer to all the alliance members, not just one species. As the human leaders planned their new galaxy, the old council was falling apart. 3 more species had withdrawn from the alliance. 5 others were refusing to pay their contributions. The council's own military was splitting into factions. Councillor Mordeth tried one last desperate move. He sent a secret message to the remaining Vortex systems, offering them a deal. If they could destroy the human fleet, the council would help them rebuild their empire. But human intelligence agents intercepted the message. Director Miran Song read it with satisfaction. Finally, the council had given humans the proof they needed to justify their actions. Release this message to every news service in the galaxy, she ordered. Let everyone see what the council really thinks about peace and justice. The message caused exactly the reaction humans had hoped for. Across the galaxy, protests erupted on council member worlds. Species that had remained neutral suddenly joined the human coalition. Even some council members began to switch sides. Captain Heejin Park, now recovered enough to return to duty, commanded a ship in the growing coalition fleet. The torture she had endured had changed her, but it had also made her stronger. She understood better than anyone what the galaxy was fighting against. All ships, she broadcast to the coalition fleet, we are not just fighting for ourselves anymore. We are fighting for every species that has been used by the council. We are fighting for everyone who has suffered while the powerful played their games. The old galaxy was ending. The Vorthak Empire was broken. The Galactic Council was collapsing. But something new was being born from the ashes. And at the center of it all were humans who had learned that sometimes peace could only be preserved by those willing to fight for it. 1 year after Ambassador Jin-Woo Park dropped the Peace Medallion, the galaxy looked completely different. President Da Yun-song stood in what used to be the Galactic Council chambers, but the crystal walls now held the flags of 47 different species instead of just 12. The old council was gone. Some members had joined the new alliance willingly. Others had been forced out when their own people revolted. A few had fled to distant systems where they tried to rebuild their power, but no one was listening to them anymore. Citizens of the galaxy, President Song addressed the assembly. We gather today not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. The age of the council is over. The age of the coalition has begun. In the audience, Admiral Jin-Woo Park watched his former diplomatic colleagues. Many of them had joined the new government, but they were no longer the only voices that mattered. Representatives from mining colonies, trade guilds, and farming worlds now had the same power as ambassadors from major star systems. The first law of our coalition is simple, President Song continued. No species may prey upon another. No government may profit from war. No leader may gain power by causing suffering. Admiral Soo Jin-yoon commanded the coalition enforcement fleet. Unlike the old council forces, these ships came from dozens of different species. Human destroyers flew alongside Kalurian cruisers and Thessian fighters. Each species contributed what they could, and no one species controlled the entire military. Admiral, reported Captain Bo Young-han from the bridge of her new ship. We are receiving a distress call from the Outer Rim. Pirates are attacking the mining station at Helios 7. How many ships? Admiral Yoon asked. 37 raider vessels. The station only has basic defenses. In the old days, the council would have debated for weeks about whether to respond. They would have asked if the mining station was important enough to risk council ships. They would have wondered if the raiders might have a legitimate grievance. The coalition did not waste time on such questions. All ships in Sector 12, Respond immediately, Admiral Yoon ordered. Estimated arrival time? 4 hours, Captain Han replied. The Coalition response fleet arrived at Helios 7 to find the pirates already retreating. Word had spread quickly across the galaxy. Attacking innocent civilians was no longer profitable. The Coalition would respond fast and with overwhelming force. Captain Hyejin Park led the boarding parties that captured 3 of the pirate ships. She found what she expected. Evidence that the raiders were being supplied by former council members who were trying to destabilize the new government. Admiral, she reported, we have proof that these pirates were armed by Councillor Thexra. He is trying to create chaos in the hope that people will want the old system back. Where is he now? Admiral Yoon asked. His base is in the neutral zone outside Coalition space. He thinks we cannot touch him there. Admiral Yoon smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. He is about to learn that the Coalition does not recognize neutral zones when it comes to stopping crimes against civilians. The attack on Thexra's base was swift and final. The former counselor was captured along with evidence of his plans to restart wars across the galaxy. But instead of simply executing him, the Coalition did something the old council would never have done. They put him on trial in front of representatives from every species he had harmed. Chief Justice Kyung-suk Lee presided over the trial. For the first time in galactic history, a powerful leader was being judged by his victims instead of his peers. Councillor Thexra, Justice Lee said, you are charged with profiting from war, supplying weapons to criminals, and causing the deaths of over 2 million civilians across 30 star systems. How do you answer these charges? Thexra tried to defend himself by claiming he had been serving the greater good, maintaining stability in a chaotic galaxy. But the evidence against him was overwhelming, and the witnesses were the people whose lives he had destroyed. I sentence you to life imprisonment on a rehabilitation colony, Justice Lee declared. You will spend the rest of your days helping to rebuild what you destroyed. This became the standard punishment for former council leaders who had committed crimes. Death was too easy. Instead, they were forced to face the consequences of their actions by working to repair the damage they had caused. Meanwhile, Dr. So Young Kim was working with scientists from across the galaxy to reverse the damage done by Vorthak experiments. Many of the prisoners rescued from alien labs could be healed, but some had been changed in ways that could not be fixed. We have developed treatments for 60% of the modifications, she reported to a gathering of Coalition medical officers. But we need more time to understand the genetic changes. Lieutenant Hyejin Park was one of the success stories. The psychological torture she had endured had left scars, but she was learning to live with them. More importantly, she was using her experience to help other survivors. The hardest part, she told a group of former prisoners, is not the anger or the fear. It is learning to trust again. The council taught us that peaceful people are helpless. We have to remember that we chose to be peaceful, and we can choose to be strong. General Young-Soo Kang was training the new Coalition Defense Forces. These were not armies meant to conquer territory or enforce political control. They were rapid response teams designed to protect civilians and stop crimes against sentient species. Remember, he told his recruits, we are not soldiers of any one government. We serve the idea that every thinking being has the right to live free from fear. When someone violates that right, we stop them. When someone threatens that freedom, we eliminate the threat. The Vorthak Empire still existed, but it was contained to a single star system under permanent Coalition monitoring. Their ability to harm others was gone forever. Some Coalition members wanted to destroy them completely, but humans argued for a different approach. Let them live, Admiral Dong-Hyun Lee said at a Coalition Council meeting. Let them serve as a reminder of what happens when a species chooses to prey on others, but watch them carefully, and be ready to act if they try to rebuild their power. Intelligence analyst Tae-ho Park spent his days studying reports from across the galaxy, looking for signs of new threats. The Coalition had ended the major sources of organized violence, but there would always be groups trying to gain power through force. We have identified 17 different criminal organizations trying to fill the power vacuum left by the Council, he reported, but they are small and uncoordinated. Most species are refusing to cooperate with them. This was the key to the coalition's success. By giving every species a voice in their own government, they had removed the motivation for rebellion. By responding quickly to threats, they had made crime unprofitable. By treating all species equally, they had eliminated the resentment that fed wars. But the most important change was in how conflicts were resolved. Instead of powerful leaders making deals, in secret, disputes were settled by neutral arbitrators chosen by the affected parties. Instead of wars that enriched arms dealers, disagreements were solved through economic and diplomatic pressure. Captain Jae Sung Oh now commanded a patrol ship that visited remote systems, checking on isolated colonies and making sure they had what they needed. It was peaceful work, but he was always ready for trouble. Captain, reported his communications officer, we are receiving a call for help from New Kelmar. They say strange ships have been seen in their system. Set course for New Kelmar, Captain O ordered, and send a message to Coalition Command. Tell them we may have found someone who has not heard the news about the new galaxy. As his ship jumped to hyperspace, Captain O reflected on how much had changed. A year ago, a call for help like this would have been ignored unless it affected Council interests. Now every civilian in Coalition space knew that help would come quickly. The strange ships at New Kelmar turned out to be refugees from a distant system where the local government had collapsed. They were not invaders but people looking for a new home. The Coalition found them a place to settle and helped them rebuild their lives. This is what we fight for, Captain Hyejin Park said as she watched the refugee ships head to their new homes. Not territory or resources or power. We fight so that people can live without fear. She thought about her father, who was now serving as a Coalition admiral instead of a Council ambassador. He had learned the same lesson she had. Sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to be strong enough to defend it. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still criminals and conflicts and injustices. But for the first time in centuries, there was hope that things could get better instead of worse. And in the Coalition chambers, the peace medallion that Ambassador Jinwoo Park had dropped sat in a place of honor. Not as a symbol of surrender to evil, but as a reminder that true peace could only exist when good people were willing to fight for it. The moment humans abandoned peace, the galaxy learned what peace really meant.